is Tuesday. So we are Science and Tech Tuesday. We're going to be revisiting the Apollo 11 specifically. Uh, so this is going to be a multi-beaker here. We're going to go into the speech. That's what we got up right now. Then we're going to go into the launch. We'll look at some mission specs, some development programs for the Apollo missions and NASA itself, kind of some of the history there. So that will be next week, will be that portion of it. So today we'll have the speech to launch. After that, we'll watch a moonwalk, where they actually walked on the surface of the moon, did their different things, and then the following week, the fourth week, we'll do EDL, which is entry, descent, and landing. And then kind of a wrap up with the press conferences and what it meant for the space program and what it means moving forward. So we're gonna take a little trip on our favorite rocket ship. You get it. So yeah. So I'll say hello, and we'll get right into it, and we'll comment. I was gonna do a clip of the speech, but I feel like the full speech is much better from Kennedy. So we'll start with the full speech. So, Dog Mama, hello. Jason J, what's up, buddy? Hey, Shani. I plan to do Challenger at some point, but this is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite rockets of all time. I have about 9 models of it in my space cabinet. If I ever actually clean it up to make it presentable, then maybe I'll just show it. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That's a big if. I have multiple Lego sets from this, from this mission set in this era. I have the mission patches for all the Apollo missions. So this is really an impactful one, and this is, I think, what draws me so heavily towards the Starship, because Starship's going to be the biggest rocket since the Saturn V. So really neat. Somewhere in there, we'll throw in some of the I've seen and been able to touch the 2 still active display models. I think there's 3 actually. One's in Huntsville, but I know there's one at Kennedy Space Center and one at Johnson Space Center in Houston. Johnson's was laid down and very accessible, so you could actually see some of the electrical components and stuff inside. It was really, really neat. So we'll go through some of those personal accounts of it, stuff like that. But yeah, we'll get there. Challenger eventually, because that was a little piece of foam. And people that didn't know how to do math working at NASA. Discord stopped working. Discord sucks recently. Hey, Ghost. Hey, what's up, Amazing? Hey, what's up, Matt? And Dazzle, what's up, mate? Absolutely. We couldn't have got there without Operation Paperclip and Warner Von Braun. We were just too far away. So we absolutely did use Nazis from Germany that were working on the V2 rocket program, and we'll get into that a little bit too. But the V2 rocket program was what put us over the top and made it possible. So that's true. So yeah, we'll get right into this. This is a historic Kennedy speech, where he kind of caught everybody off guard. We hadn't been doing well in the space race. Like, let's be honest about it. Russia put up Sputnik first. They were the first people to send up humans and have them orbit. They first spacewalk, first space station. Like, they were truly kicking our ass. And then Kennedy's like, nope, we're going. And it's it really made a big difference. Whether and of course there's the detractors that, oh, we didn't actually go to the moon. Well, I mean, I listen to any argument, but I don't know. I think if not, the United States government orchestrated the most impressive hoax in human history. Uh, and good on them because yeah, but I mean, there's some inconsistencies, but there are some. Obviously, it's a long time ago. Footage is limited, and a lot of people are going to spin it into what they want it to. Um, but I'll listen to the argument. I don't have a problem listening to the argument. I there are some significant inconsistencies with the way, uh, but maybe we can get into that later. So, yep, yes, please do that. Well, what's the topic, D's? Why am I in time, D's? So we'll listen to this the Kennedy speech at Rice. Kind of what jump started taking over.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Of course, the damn Russian would say that. Also, could you imagine this being your graduation? This was a this is a commencement speech at a graduation for Rice, and it's one of the most impactful and historic speeches ever given. Um, it would be it's pretty cool.
President Kitson, Mr. Vice President, Governor, Congressman Thomas, Senator Wiley, and Congressman Miller, Mr. Webb, Mr. Bell, scientists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your President having made me an honorary visiting professor, and I will assure you that my first lecture will be very brief. I am delighted to be here, and I'm particularly delighted to be here on this occasion. We meet at a college noted for knowledge, in a city noted for progress, in a state noted for strength, and we stand in need of all three. For we meet in an hour of change and challenge, in a decade of hope and fear, in an age of both knowledge and ignorance. The greater our knowledge increases,
That's true.
the greater our ignorance unfolds. Despite the striking fact that most of the scientists that the world has ever known are alive and working today, despite the fact that this nation's own scientific manpower is doubling every 12 years in a rate of growth more than 3 times that
Yes,
of our
this is before
population
he's
as a whole.
assassinated in Dallas.
Despite that,
Obviously.
the vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension. No man can fully grasp how far and how fast we have come. But condense, if you will, the 50,000 years of man's recorded history in a time span of but a half a century. Stated in these terms, we know very little about the first 40 years, except at the end of them, advanced man had learned to use the skins of animals to cover them. Then about 10 years ago, under this standard, man emerged from his caves to construct other kinds of shelter. Only 5 years ago, man learned to write and use a cart with wheels. Christianity began less than 2 years ago. The printing press came this year. And then less than 2 months ago, during this whole 50-year span of human history, the steam engine provided a new source of power. Newton explored the meaning of gravity. Last month, electric lights and telephones and automobiles and airplanes became available. Only last week did we develop penicillin and television and nuclear power. And now, if America's new spacecraft succeeds in reaching Venus, we will have literally reached the stars before midnight tonight. This is a breathtaking pace, and such a pace cannot help but create new ills as it dispels old. New ignorance, new problems, new dangers. Surely the opening vistas of space promise high costs and hardships, as well as high reward. So it is not surprising that some would have us stay where we are a little longer, to rest, to wait. But this city of Houston, this state of Texas, this country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them. This country was conquered by those who move forward, and so will space. William Bradford, speaking in 1630 of the founding of the Plymouth Bay Colony, said that all great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulties, and both must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. If this capsule history of our progress teaches us anything, it is that man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred. The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not. And it is one of the great adventures of all time. And no nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind in this race for space. Those who came before us made certain that this country rode the first waves of the Industrial Revolution, the first waves of modern invention, and the first wave of nuclear power. And this generation does not intend to founder in the backwash of the coming age of space. We mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it. For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, and to the planets beyond. And we have vowed that we shall not see it governed by a hostile flag of conquest, but by a banner of freedom and peace. We have vowed that we shall not see space filled with weapons of mass destruction, but with instruments of knowledge and understanding. Yet the vows of this nation can only be fulfilled if we in this nation are first, and therefore we intend to be first.
It's a good speech. I didn't want to interrupt too much, but yeah. Here's an interesting factoid that Steve wants to learn tonight. And no, I'm not talking about Marilyn Monroe and happy birthday, Mr. President. I mean, good on him. But did you know it was 66 years? 66 years from the first flight of the Wright brothers to the time we landed on the moon. One generation of human being. That was the America. That was the America that could do anything, wouldn't be deterred, had the drive, had the vision, it was admirable, because we just don't have that anymore. It's just not here. We don't have that spirit anymore. but we went from the first box plane that could barely fly to landing a human on the moon in a short 66 years. It's absolutely mind-blowing when you think of it in a term like that. So it I mean, one lifetime, we went from barely being able to get off the ground to landing on a foreign body, to landing on the moon. And we kind of stagnated after that, honestly. I mean, we've been at the same kind of spot and actually kind of regressed a little bit. But there are new generations that are picking up that spirit that just need a little bit of that, little bit of people to be interested, a little bit of people to believe that we could do things like this again. I know we can. We're always Americans have always been that special breed that will look over the hill and see what's there. Some people aren't. Some people just would rather be comfortable, you know, and sit and be happy with what they have. But what truly sets Americans apart is we're not afraid to go over the hill. We're not afraid to look at something we have no idea of what's there. We're not afraid to risk our lives to in furtherance of a goal. And I think that's something that's missing from our society and our country. And I don't know when we lost it, but we could use it back. And I think there are some people that have it. It's just bringing it out and getting people to buy in. Absolutely. I, yeah, I contend we did. Like I said, there's some uh, there's some questions for sure, and it's reasonable to ask questions. But I think in the grand scheme of things, yeah, we probably did. Yeah, yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's I mean, we could get into it, and it's systemic. It's legacy contractors, and people can't get anything off the ground, literally or figuratively, because our name's not Boeing, or our name isn't, you know, insert legacy defense contractor here, Lockheed Martin. But it just takes a little bit more. You just have to push through, and you have to want it. Canadians did not land on the moon. That's true. That's also true. Yeah.
Short, our leadership in science and industry, our hopes for peace and security, our obligations to ourselves as well as others, all require us to make this effort, to solve these mysteries, to solve.
Okay, last time. And then I'll let it run for a minute. I I had to think about this. I I know full well 1,000,000% because I know that song Californication, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Um, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think it's a disingenuous argument because I know for an absolute fact that space exists. 100% factual that space exists. So, um, landing on the moon is a different argument, but uh, space exists. The Earth is not flat, and space exists. Sorry to disappoint you, Bobby.
them for the good of all men and to become the world's leading spacefaring nation. We set sail on this new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained and new rights to be won, and they must be won and used for the progress of all people. For space science, like nuclear science and all technology, has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force for good or ill depends on man. And only if the United States occupies a position of preeminence Can we help decide whether this new ocean
Cave.
will be a sea of peace or a new terrifying theater of war? I do not say that we should or will go unprotected against the hostile misuse of space any more than we go unprotected against the hostile use of land or sea. But I do say that space can be explored and mastered without feeding the fires of war, without repeating the mistakes that man has made in extending his writ around this globe of ours. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind, and its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. It is for these reasons that I regard the decision last year to shift our efforts in space from low to high gear as among the most important decisions that will be made during my incumbency in the office of the presidency. In the last 24 hours, we have seen facilities now being created for the greatest and most complex exploration in man's history. We have felt the ground shake and the air shattered by the testing of a Saturn C-1 booster rocket, many times as powerful as the Atlas which launched John Glenn, generating power equivalents to 10,000 automobiles with their accelerator on the floor. We have seen the site where 5 F-1 rocket engines, each one as powerful as all 8 engines of the Saturn combined, will be clustered together to make the advanced Saturn missile, assembled in a new building to be built at Cape Canaveral, as tall as a 48-story structure, as wide as a city block, and as long as 2 lengths of this field. Within these last 19 months, at least 45 satellites have circled the Earth. Some 40 of them were made in the United States of America, and they were far more sophisticated and supplied far more knowledge to the people of the world than those of the Soviet Union. The Mariner spacecraft now on its way to Venus is the most intricate instrument in the history of space science.
Just a little bit of
The accuracy of
propaganda
that
there.
shot is comparable to firing a missile from Cape Canaveral and dropping it in this stadium between the 40-yard lines. Transit satellites are helping our ships at sea to steer a safer course. TIRUS satellites have given us unprecedented warnings of hurricanes and storms, and will do the same for forest fires and icebergs. We have had our failures, but so have others, even if they do not admit them, and they may be less public. To be sure, we are behind, and will be behind for some time in manned flight. But we do not intend to stay behind, and in this decade, we shall make up and move ahead. The growth of our science and education will be enriched by new knowledge of our universe and environment, by new techniques of learning and mapping and observation, by new tools and computers for industry, medicine, and the home, as well as the school, technical institutions such as Rice will reap the harvest of these gains. And finally, the space effort itself,
oh, it's so beautiful.
while still in
It's
its
huge.
infancy, has already created a great number of new companies and tens and thousands of new jobs. Space and related industries are generating new demands in investment and skilled personnel, and this city and this state and this region will share greatly in this growth. What was once the furthest outpost on the old frontier of the West will be the furthest outpost on the new frontier of science and space. Houston, your city of Houston, with its manned spacecraft center, will become the heart of a large scientific and engineering community. During the next 5 years, the National Aeronautic and Space Administration expects to double the number of scientists and engineers in this area, to increase its outlays for salaries and expenses to $60 million a year, to invest some $200 million in plant and laboratory facilities, and to direct or contract for new space efforts over $1 billion from this center in this city. To be sure, all this costs us all a good deal of money. This year's space budget is 3 times what it was in January 1961, and it is greater than the space budget of the previous 8 years combined. That budget now stands at $5.4 billion a year, a staggering sum, though somewhat less than we pay for cigarettes and cigars every year. Space expenditures will soon rise some more, from 40 cents per person per week to more than 50 cents a week for every man, woman, and child in the United States. For we have given this program a high national priority, even though I realize that this is, in some measure, an act of faith and vision, for we do not now know what benefits await us. But if I were to say, my fellow citizens, that we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of standing heat and stresses several times more than have ever been experienced, fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communications, food, and survival on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half that on the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is here today, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first before this decade is out, then we must be bold. I'm the one who's doing all the work, so get March to stay cool for a minute. However, I think we're going to do it. And I think that we must pay what needs to be paid. I don't think we ought to waste any money, but I think we ought to do the job. And this will be done in the decade of the 60s. It may be done while some of you are still here at school at this college and university. It will be done during the terms of office of some of the people who sit here on this platform. But it will be done. And it will be done before the end of this decade. And I am delighted that this university is playing a part in putting a man on the moon as part of a great national effort of the United States of America. Many years ago, the great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said, because it is there. Well, space is there. and we're going to climb it. And the moon and the planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked. Thank you.
So that's the speech. That's the speech. And it's an incredible speech. It set out what we were gonna do. It came at great risk. Um, like you said, some of the alloys and technologies hadn't even been invented yet. Um, there was no assurances that this was gonna work. There was no assurances that it was even possible at the time. And it came at great risk to many things. I mean, you heard him talk about, I think it's odd, or not odd, but I think it's nice to hear him talk about the actual budget effects that government spending will have on your wallet. 50 cents a week was huge. It was massive. Um, especially during the 60s. I mean, that's a lot of money to go chase space. You did it. It 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 certainly wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to go up there and say that. It took guts, and it took him, you know, uh, doing a lot of things that we had not even imagined to be possible. And again, this isn't, he had it all together and then he went out there to give a speech. He went out there to challenge everyone, everybody in the United States, anybody who was an engineer or in the space program, or even the Air Force. As we'll learn, most of them were, or all of them were Air Force pilots, or specialist pilots, uh, test pilots. It was such a different time. Just that speech alone, it was completely different than what we'd get today. Like today, it would be orchestrated and it would go out and you'd be announcing something, and then it's still 5 years and they still get it wrong. So compare and contrast that.
My heart. There's nothing our nations can't achieve if we do it together. I really mean it. So thank you all. God bless you all. Let's go lick the world. Let's get it done.
I mean, again, we like to make fun of Joe. At least I do. But it's just that we have lost that American spirit. We've lost that ability to just say, you know what, we're going to do it, and there's not a damn thing you can do to stop us. It's impressive. It's truly impressive. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I enjoy this program, or this set of programs, so much. So, uh, uh, yeah, I'm the same way. I'm still a little back. Yeah, it's just a different. It feels different. It feels like there's some togetherness, or some, hey, we're gonna do this, and I'm not afraid of it. So, uh, no, I agree that it's competition. And the timeline before the end of the decade, and they got it in July 16th, 1969, uh, is when they left. So they got it in right before the end. Uh, Bought their house for $13K in Seattle in the '60s. Dang. Yeah, I mean, 50 cents a week was an exorbitant price to pay for something where you had no receipts, you had nothing to show anybody. And another thing with today's day and age, I don't know that I would trust the government. If the government said, "Yep, we're gonna go to Alpha Centauri A, closest body outside of our solar system," um, we're gonna go to Alpha Centauri A, and we're gonna land humans, and it will cost you $1 a week in taxes. I know my dollar's not ever going there. I know that it's gonna get tossed to Boeing and probably get buried. Like it's just a different time. It's a different feeling. So yeah, competition got us there. To put it in perspective, 1968 national budget was 170 or 67 billion, not 3 trillion. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a huge portion, and in relative terms, the space agencies are still significantly lower, uh, budget wise than other things like national defense or so on and so forth. But it was still a considerable amount of money. So, challenge Americans to be great in many ways. They could be great space, physical fitness, art. Yeah, yeah, it was important. Summer of '69, Dazzler. Damn. It was truly for the development of the project. It was truly mind blowing. Shit, that was probably bad for Kennedy. I didn't mean it that way. Promise. So it was crazy. It was crazy to be able to get something like that up. So the next step on our timeline here, we're gonna watch the real time footage. Color TVs were coming out. I remember my grandmother told us a story about how they had one color TV in the entire neighborhood, and it wasn't like try this shit today. This would never happen either. It wasn't even a question. Everybody was there sitting watching this broadcast, and if you couldn't get to one, you were watching black and white, which was most of the lunar footage, anyways. Um, but they just sat there and they were captivated. They were glued to their televisions. Because what was going on was truly history making. And I mean, I know it wouldn't get the same ratings today because it's not the Kardashians, but I know they were huge. They were huge in size, but they were, very small screens. Sometimes. I am from Detroit, but and so that brings me to another. So at the same time, you had turmoil here on the nation, and it would have been so easy to abandon this. You had the race riots here in Detroit. You had the UAW strike that was coming down the pike. I believe that was 73, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but there were certain things. Those are just a couple, but there were things going on in the world where it would have been easy enough to just abandon this and be like, nah, you know what, we're good. Too much to worry about at home, and just think where we'd be at now if that were the case. We wouldn't see SpaceX landing on drone ships. So, but so this is the actual television broadcast of the Apollo 11. It's a little bit about the rocket. This is the Saturn V. It's a Saturn rocket, 5 engines, 5 F1 engines. It's huge. It's real big. Actually, here, let me. Well, maybe I'll bring it up after. This rocket is massive. It is absolutely massive. No, I want to bring it up. I was gonna do it later, but probably should bring it up. Nah. So give me just 1 second. This rocket is intense. Like it's huge, and it gets lost on a lot of people because it truly is a massive rocket. Um, where is it? Oh, it's probably in. And the rocket SpaceX is stacking right now in South Texas is bigger, much bigger. Sorry, I can't type and do something. I know it's not my big hands for reference. You'll just have to work with me on this one, but so I'm a big dude. I'm 6'2", very, very big. This is one F1 engine behind me. That's the engine bell. There are 5 of those on the first stage. That's me. There's F1 rocket engine. That's in Houston. And there's some more, but yeah, I mean it's just big engine. And the picture doesn't really do it any justice whatsoever. But so just a small frame of reference of how big we're talking here. I mean, it's unbelievable unless you're there unless you've seen one in person to understand the scale of something like this. So yeah, we could do those. There was one on Twitter that was really good the other day. Somebody put one together. Yeah, here we go. So this is SpaceX Starship that's going on in Brownsville, or outside of Brownsville, in South Texas. This is the Saturn V. So as you can see, this is a much more massive vehicle, more thrust, obviously advanced engine tech, advanced design tech, but that's what you're looking at as far as size difference between what SpaceX is trying to build down there and the biggest rocket that we've ever put in space. So full size and how the full breakdown and launch works. Huh. Yeah, and there's only 2 stages. So we have multiple with the Saturn V based on configuration. You just have a booster stage, and then you have your Starship stage. So yep. So now we'll get into the actual launch. It's going to go through some of the different things, but and we've all seen SpaceX launches and how crisp and clean and we're going and blah blah blah. This one's a little bit different, and you'll see. Obviously, this is very early in the space program, so there is a lot of things that they could have done better, and a lot of things that they might have done a little bit overkill. So
PR1 for power transfer internal on your mark. Roger, on my mark, all stages to internal power. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. All stages command internal. Roger.
I would love if we got full
close,
open.
21. All stages on internal power.
That's the one thing I'm kind of jealous of, where we could listen to them publicly.
CVTS, Jim, 111. CVTS, go ahead. Roger, no changes at internal power. CVTS, copy, thank you. CVTS, SR 111. Go, SRL. We observe no changes. 30 seconds to the lap, all stages transfer external individually using switches.
They're actually using old I forget what the hell they're called because I don't do electronics. They're using those old analog switches, and they're huge. They're huge, and they just look so out of place. Like, how the hell did this get to space, let alone the moon?
So 1C, S2, 4B, Roger, external power. Roger, let's go to green phone. Roger, let's go to green phone.
I mean, we were having problems with communications even at that time.
Free valves open. Roger, free valves open. When you go to 125, loud showdown pump off. Roger. Fuel showdown pump off. Roger, fuel showdown off. Transfer test complete. You look good, Tom? Booster 2 attitude, S4B, aux pump off. Roger, aux pump off. Did you have AFD meeting my loop?
There's the hold downs, so once it started producing thrust, that was it actually.
Yeah, that worked out fine. Roger, reported at my Aldrin household. Yeah, okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yes, D's on the side screen.
B1T on B1T on 186.
Indicates that the oxidizer tank
Go booster. Added power transfer. Hey, it'll look good. I want to take another look at my hard copy.
here at the last minute to prepare it for liftoff.
I mean, look at those computers.
Hello?
Those were
No,
advanced.
this is Gene Bassett. Just a minute.
Jane,
Yeah.
this is just Bruce McCandless. I just wanted to make sure you all are getting a signal over your squawk box and everything's okay.
Just a minute.
More computer mechanics these days than they had
we're
the whole
checking. I
room
don't know.
back
We're
then.
checking
Yep.
right now.
Okay, you should hear the golden voice of Jack Riley over that.
Well, I'll just a minute. Well, the one in my bedroom is working.
Okay, very
Okay. Wait a minute. And the one at the bar is now working, so I guess everything is okay.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you were getting a signal. We pulsed the Nassau Bay Phone Company last night.
Yeah, well, they're out here doing something right now.
no go for Colonel Count
Okay,
sequence.
thank you.
Verify
Bye-bye.
go. CVTS copy. No, we're coming.
Houston, boys.
Yeah, this is Capcom. That'll take care of it for now. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
3 inches support this is retro.
Okay, we're coming up on T-minus 30 minutes. RCS, verify your go.
Roger, go. Negative. I believe it was retro support. Okay, go. Go, baby. Hey, I'm just
So of course they've done this before.
Out there right now.
Flight 11.
A, B, C, and D switches on up and ready.
They had a couple accidents on the track, but
Service mark you want to see, that's my line for calling A, B, C, and D. Roger. Open and release.
All right, verify your primary and secondary.
yes, it is.
Roger, 8 up and grade.
Okay.
Engine is
I see on panel meter, select quad A and read it out
Yes,
for us.
it's the actual.
Go state.
It's the
Quad A
television
is
broadcast.
go 78 degrees. 4,000. 185. Booster 3 attitude. Roll rate command. Beamer. 95%. Booster 2%. Let's go to 52, please.
U-valves open. That's all they had on their computer.
Okay, give me the directions.
They don't have numbers. Oh my.
72.
Quad B.
Quad B, 80 degrees. 4100. 187.
There was so much taken on faith because you didn't have the complexity of being able to
And 60.
monitor different systems. So
Watch out.
Okay, 79 degrees.
yes, exactly.
4050.
White guy, white shirt, black tie. You don't like that look?
And 100%. 72 degrees.
The glasses are the best.
60, make that 76 degrees. 4,050. 185.
They're worse than military BCGs. Shit.
98%.
And they wore those every day.
71 degrees.
All right, same pay up. Good. All right, 525 has been verified.
2-man bacon over launch.
This is Capcom Houston, by the way. This is where they had all the communications, computing.
Okay.
Okay,
on the first time, do the step. You do the step first, I first. You don't have a step first. You don't have a delay to the 11:36. Step first.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so here's our vent, liquid oxygen vent. The top camera that I didn't stop in time, that's your launch escape system. So that's rockets that pull the rocket away from the rocket if something goes wrong. They still use NASA still uses those on their traditional rockets. SpaceX has made Super Dracos, which are just hypergolic RCS thrusters, basically, and they pull the actual capsule away from the rocket that is having some sort of issue for the safety of the crew. But that was a solid rocket motor that they put on top of the RCS. It wasn't terribly effective, but at least they thought about safety a little bit. And this is looking down on it. The other view was the 5 F1 engines on that first stage. So
You're talking about yeah, that comes at 11:36 and on base. That's on the second burn. No, that's on second burn, first opportunity. Okay, there's opportunity on the second opportunity. Have -50.
they came from NASA, so they got to be good, right?
Remember, it was different on the at least on
Even if they are retreads.
on one opportunity. Hey, wait a minute. No, we've got a 4 or 5 EMR. Hold one. I get you.
But they don't break. That's for damn sure.
All right, sequence 532, CDR on panel 8. We're going to
Those who don't know,
This is
those
the
are
opportunity one data.
PI
That's correct.
glasses, and they're called birth control glasses because you're never having sex wearing those.
Roger.
Baker 1, main able. Baker 1, main able.
And they were standard issue black frame, ugly as shit.
Baker 2 main able.
Dog 2, main Baker.
Dog 2 main B.
On your pitch. Able 3, main Baker.
Able 3 main B.
Charlie 3, main able.
Charlie 3 main able.
Able 4, main able.
4 main able.
Charlie 4, main Baker.
Charlie 4 main Baker.
On your yaw. Baker 3, main able.
Baker 3 main able.
Dog 3,
That's
main
true.
Baker.
Dog 3 main Baker.
Baker 4, main Baker.
Baker
Yeah.
4 main Baker.
And dog 4, main able.
Dog 4 main able.
Okay, we're
Hang on, I'll put it as a question. That'll be fun.
minutes into procedure, and the clock is coming up on -25 minutes.
Change on the optical coverage, change on the optical coverage, if you're ready.
All right, REC will do the CD update 5 o'clock.
Contact Capcom. Go ahead, sir. Roger, they're down to the -15 minutes of procedures right now, so you might stand by for this com check shortly. All right, and I'm monitoring on 212. Okay.
We 5 o'clock. Intermittent alarm on Inco Flyer H. That's on the check valve on the 4B skid, just under the 240-foot level of the tower. Yeah. We're trying to get a hold of camera number 22 to look at that. It just was a one intermittent alarm. I don't think there's any problem there. CLTC C1 DC. We have a measurement discrepancy. Item 2-139, page 2-9. Measurement 153-119, which is an alternate measurement, pressure, LOX, tank, ullage. We have an erratic reading. Okay, CLMS and CLIS 121. CLIS. Okay, item 2-139, page 2-9, the mission rules. Backup measurement.
Go. You ready the condition for launch?
Launch haulage pressure. S1C.
Go, buddy. Hey,
You want be advised that WXP 94-119 is working properly. We also have another measurement but it's not actually backup, but
There you go. There's a poll up.
Go for terminal count. Roger that. Stages go for terminal count. Roger that. Attitudes go. Roger.
Stop cheating, Bobby.
Roger. Follow, this is Retro. Go ahead, Retro. Did you call me? Right, 4B is go for terminal count. Ready, right? You bet. Have you done it yet? Done. Okay. There's the three that time contract. Last minute, I'll let you know when. Okay.
CBT SSR 111.
Go ahead, sir.
We have radar 013 ready toward the pad further, as the same as we did on the countdown demonstration test.
Do it, just copy.
And they didn't have a really good switching board. So as you hear, there's a lot of different sounds coming into the main mission control.
Verify we are conditioned. Verify we are conditioned. Verify we are conditioned. Retro fighter, we are conditioned. We can go with them now. Just dynamic fighter, coming with you. Coming to you with the switches. All right. Okay, now Retro. Okay, you got him? Let me go give you half lift just to make sure there. Got him. Go back. Okay.
They're just so lax about everything. Like, I don't know. And this isn't even them shooting up or preparing. This is, I mean, the astronauts are already strapped into the rocket. They're already, I mean, the whole process was just so time consuming. Maybe next time SpaceX does a human spaceflight, we'll watch the whole thing all the way through, just so you can see how intense it still even is. So.
Roger, S2. Board support fighter. Go ahead. Verify max the delay times on MSK 96. Channel 29.
So there's just a bunch of call-outs. So they're calling out systems. They're checking things. And as we get closer and closer, you'll start seeing more of it. But you can see there's a ton of people there. I mean, it was a spectacle. It was, people showed up. It was something to do. It was a destination, not, hey, I'm here, so I might as well take in the launch. It was, people were flocking to Kennedy to watch history. I'm way too young to know or to have seen one in person, but from what I've heard from people who have, this thing just shook you for miles. It was an impressive piece of equipment, and you could feel it with all your senses. Like it was an intense experience. And you really, like, the Falcon 9s are so good at what they do now. you can still feel them if you're close enough, but it's not like it used to be with
Roger that.
shuttle program or
Display booster.
probably what it's going to be with Starship. Honestly, I'm excited to have it back. But
1402.
Okay, you have some jumping data or something?
Say again?
Do you have some jumping data or what?
Right. It's solid right now, but I was writing over parameters with other parameters and shifting out of the right spot.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on it for a moment.
Thank you, man.
yeah, I just rode over top of it. It's fine.
Dave comes in and relieves me about 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
And here's my direct rebuttal for, oh, we don't have the plans anymore. Exactly. I don't think we do because they probably rode over them, like they just said.
Go ahead, MSDC.
Okay, John, this little contract.
Display booster, you're seeing that?
Some have a blank pole. Try and refresh. It should be there.
You want to have RCLTC, can you verify range safe is on? 315 verified. Thank you.
That's a common cheese. Angela, hello.
Bye.
It's beautiful. My mother watched it live on the day. She said it was unbelievable, as well as having an overwhelming sense of pride. Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from it is the question is who made NASA suits, and damn near everybody got it right because they probably said it before. So the options are NASA, Sorel, Playtex, or Nike, and the answer was Playtex. They went to a bra manufacturer because of the way that the equipment worked. They wanted that kind of resistive, kind of bandy equipment. So they went with the bra manufacturer to put on test pilots to send them into space. Interesting.
That channel 26 is acting up and just came back again.
Okay, channel 26, Roger.
Retro. Projector, this is Retro. Go. Okay.
That's what some people are saying. It's weird.
15 minutes now. I'm just going through with you. We have no other things to break up with.
It's going to be YouTube.
on being configured for the first,
Can you go?
they're not configured yet, sir. They're waiting on MSPC to tell them to go.
Okay.
And as soon as they tell them to go, then I'll get the word from them. Go, man.
Exactly.
They're not configured yet. They're waiting on
just going to talk to this loop. Okay. Just monitored. No other thing to tag up with, right?
Okay, and John, let me know when you cycle to the sources.
You bet. I'll let you know that.
Oh, go. Got it.
Yeah. Retro say this flash at PBX, leave it there. That is RLDE, and we need to keep that one up. You bet. And he called on a different number today, and we don't let him go through the flap of trying to change everything. We'll just leave him on that one.
Roger that.
Okay, that's why.
Port projected. You hear about the flash in PBX? No, I didn't. Okay, that flash PBX 5607. Oh, no, yeah, that's got to be. Yeah, he's on the wrong route, but we'll go with it. Everybody leave it alone.
Everybody leave it alone. Don't worry that it's flashing. It's fine.
But you passed that.
Everything's fine.
Okay, that is affirmative, and Mala confirmed that they do have the correct liftoff test.
It was just so different back then. So different.
Okay, Anco flight, stand by for you.
Go, guys. Yes, what's the latest you got for your
A-holes need to invest in blue blacker glasses. Yeah.
I'll probably delay that just a little bit.
Minus 1515, stand by for CT update.
When is your 2 impulse?
CTE update will be 2 impulse nominal.
8.57.
5,
Not later.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Fuck off, Light Ray.
MREC.
REC verifies CTE update. CTE update.
So now we're about T-minus 15.
Start flight motor switch closed off.
Off now.
Verify your light.
Verified.
EPS verifies fully ready.
All right, LMP on panel 3. You're Verify Charlie. Give me your voltage.
Okay, Red Charlie, 35 volts.
That was 3.5.
35.
All right, return your selector to main able. Able. EPE, power supply B to button B off. Now. Power supply B,
Big
DG off.
hair was a thing back then.
Power
I don't
supply
understand
DG
it.
start off.
Now.
Start bottle still down. Power supply 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. Commit lockout on.
Roger, inserted.
Execute verify.
Executed now. Verify.
CDR panel 1. On your ball 1 total attitude. Verify roll 162.
Verified.
Now go to the calendar, CDR 0.
Verified.
Go. Feedback mode, roll. Continue on to rate command.
Roger.
So now they're going through all the
Roger. VMAX mode's going right on.
different programs, scroll programs and stuff.
5-5.
Verify the light. Alright, CDR panel 1, rate switch high.
Rate switch high.
Verify the light. Alright, CDR and CMP, arm your rope controllers to verify.
And they're literally going through each switch, each system, and
CDR verified.
CMP verify. CDR panel 1, rope controller power, direct 1 and 2, main A, main B.
Command is go. All good. Complete.
CMC mode, free.
AMC mode free.
Trans controller power switch, on up.
and now that we're getting closer, we're getting to that 13-minute mark. We're starting to really pick up on the cadence. We're starting to really pick up on things that are going on. So.
Tony, CDR loud and clear.
Oh, no, there's a lot of operations around here. How do you read?
11 loud and clear.
And SDC, how do you read?
CUGA, welcome.
CDR
CDR reads SDC loud and clear.
Yeah, 2 look command south command.
Netcom booster.
Roger, booster.
Go booster.
You confirm a CCS lock?
Yes, sir, I understand.
Confirm it. Confirm.
What does the AGC look like?
The AGC voltage looks good.
Sony, Apollo, and reach 11 clear.
Flight network. Go ahead.
Pilot second systems like check.
LM,
Okay, that's the reason, I guess.
Apollo 11, reach 11 clear. Reach 11 clear.
Got a hard copy, Will.
Calling guys.
GNC, I got a hard copy. Sony verified.
549, 550 verified.
Start your guidance reduction program late.
And when you're talking about your systems, it's like, damn, there's a lot going on right now.
Roger, Sony verified. Okay, Sony. Verified. Okay, flight perform your comm check and verify completion.
Welcome. Are we configured contact?
Yes, sir, we are configured.
Yes, sir.
Dynamic.
Roger, Retro. We have loaded predicted liftoff and ZX time to 1332. Is that
Apollo 11 CMP, Apollo 11 CMP. This is Houston on VHF. How do you read? Over. Go.
Roger, Bruce, reach 11 clear.
Roger, reading the same, huh?
Final select, we're still going on.
Apollo 11 LMP. This is Houston on S-band. How do you read? Over.
Houston, you're loud and clear, Alley.
Roger, read you the same, out. Back to systems 2, please. Go ahead and reconfigure contact.
Yes, sir.
That's K2-424. Roger that.
Flight recovery. Go ahead. All launch support recovery ports is on station rated.
That's true. Everything went perfect. There's no
They're working on it,
complaining.
Captain.
Thank you.
It's almost perfect. Almost perfect. I think they have a drink cart that just rolls around with Manhattans and highballs the whole time. That's a good question.
We're configured, flight.
Okay. Capcom, we're configured, sir.
I would hope so afterwards.
Apollo
They
11
deserve it.
CDR, this is Houston on VHF and S-band. How do you read? Over.
Houston, Apollo 11 CDR loud and clear.
Roger, reading you the same, Neil, out.
CDR loud and clear, Captain.
by the way?
Okay, we're completing contact.
All stations, network, final status for launch. Mila, status for launch. Mila, GPM.
SPS, drone switches on.
Now we're at 10 minutes, and there's even more frantic nature to it.
And be off and target.
Launch vehicle FPS indicator, Alpha 2 Alpha.
Roger, it's an Alpha.
CMP panel 2, ES auto switch.
Flight Telcom, yep. Level telemetry off, all looks good. Hey, repeat that, please.
You're on panel 2, your EDS auto switch on up.
EDS auto,
Port systems, launch vehicle rate, auto.
This part would have to be the biggest sound stage
in auto.
ever.
In auto.
This one would be insane if it was a sound stage.
OFF and release.
RCS command, off and release.
CDR panel 17, TVC servo power 1 to 81 mayday.
CDC servo power 1 to main 8.
282 main B.
282 main B.
LFP on panel 3, your fuel cell reactor switch to latch.
Fuel cell reactive on latch.
HFC 052 emergency stop to on.
Roger, on now.
LMP panel 2, your secondary fuel
Shit, was that D's?
to off.
Sound like D's.
Cognac to it, pump on.
Booster now, booster 3 now.
Alright, all controllers, personnel.
Hey, that launch hazard should have been right out on 111. Have you heard that yet?
I know I haven't heard, but I'll check it on MSK 290. Yes,
I want you to just define, see that we have got 0 Delta T at this point.
All stations, stand by for EPS,
Generating network at 1.
So now we're starting to hear the go no go part. You can barely hear it in the background.
We don't have VHF or stand-up link voice. We're checking.
Firing at 72 degrees, 03 minutes, 34 seconds.
That's already got the confirmation. 72 degrees, 03 minutes, 34 seconds.
Just copies. Houston flight, you copy?
Flight.
Go ahead.
Alright, TB.
Houston flight.
CSAT.
Go.
Alright, CSA, if it's monitor.
Go ahead.
Have you been fired?
Negative, not yet. How about having CSTO checking his panel configuration?
No further
Alright, Tony, you got a proper configuration?
Roger that. Okay, he should have VHF on channel 214, and that's our problem.
Oh, it's going to remind you that your voice check was
Alright, you got a color VHF on 214, Tony? Okay, we should be good now. Alright, CSE, can you give me a go now?
Okay, we gotta go now.
Jim, let's go.
Alright, CSAT.
Go.
Snoopy.
Snoopy, go.
So when they're hearing a problem, they're working through the problem in real time.
Go for start automatic.
Okay, Eagle
Right,
go.
right through.
46561 verified. CSAT, spacecraft ready, switch on.
Switch is on, verify light.
Roger, 563 is verified.
Series F, MSDC 111, spacecraft ready for launch, ready, switch is on.
We're at minus 630.
Launch circle, that's T-minus 5.
Alright, at minus 5 minutes, we'll go to full retract on the swing arm.
Inhibit switch selectors and reset counters.
Alright, CDR at minus 4 minutes and 10 seconds, all your launch vehicle engine lights will come on.
And this is when you had somebody in your house saying,
Stony,
yeah, there's no way that they're going to do this.
Y'all ready to go?
You're crazy.
Ready to go. Okay then. 5 o'clock.
Go Bravo sequence, channel 7. Roger. Go Bravo sequence, channel 21. Roger.
And then they're the first one to look in amazement when it goes up.
24B is go for auto sequence. Nav, Nick, comms, your status go, follow sequence. Nav, go. Nav, come, let's go. Roger. Booster 1, booster 3. Roger, all go. Booster, follow sequence. S2 booster. S2 is go. Roger. Go flight. You have a channel number. Roger, flight channel 26. 26. Command booster. Command is go. We are locked all the way. Roger. Booster 2 engine.
Lock all the way.
Start throttle pressure is 8. Roger that.
Yeah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark.
Minus 5 minutes.
Retro SRO, okay, Cord. I'll read you loud and clear. How
That's
many
pulling the
of
bridge
them?
back. That's
Have first
the
motion for you.
so that's the capsule where they got into the capsule. This is where your astronauts are. This is the whole thing at the top, and that door came back pretty quick. So we're getting very, very close.
Thank you. Okay, the swing arm is going too full, retracted this time.
Booster nav, go. Your K-85, the spacecraft S2, early staging switch is off. Roger, thank you.
Three valves closed, S4B chill down in progress.
Roger, chill down.
And you have the engineer saying back, please God work. Please God work.
CL22, CVTS, you're clear for launch. Thank you. C1FR, can you verify prep complete on? Negative flight controllers coming up on auto sequence. Booster, how are you? We're go flight. Econ?
R4 you want to
Go
go one
flight.
more quick
QC?
slide?
Go flight. Telcom? Go flight. Control? Network, you got it now? You got it all?
CDR, Stony, how do you read on that?
Affirmative flight for channel 121.
Stony, lock clear.
Right.
Apollo 11, this is the launch operations manager. The launch team wishes you good luck and Godspeed. Thank you very much. No, it'll be a good one. And CDR, SDC, how do you read me? SDC, lock and clear. Okay, Neil, have a good.
Okay, so that was Neil Armstrong. That was from the astronauts on that ship, where they're listening to the frantic nature of everything going on. He's like, yeah, it's gonna be great. It'll be fine. Like the cool, calm, collective patience of the individuals during that time frame was again something that was incredibly admirable, because I probably would have been peeing in my spacesuit and seeing how much it held up at this point. But I mean, they were test pilots. They were used to flying in things that humans probably shouldn't have flown in. So it was kind of their MO.
You bet. All right, CMP on panel 2, just verify program 2. Program 2. All right, CMP on panel 2, just insert verb 75 and do not enter. Verb 75, standing by. LMP on panel 3, tape recorder forward, switch to forward.
75, verified.
Going forward. Verify grade. Grade is verified.
-3, flying command initiated. Flying command is on. Auto sequence, flight line, 3 minutes. Roger, S2. KL flight controllers, when auto sequence, stand by. -250. S4B lock vents closed and tank pre-pressurized. Roger, lock pre-press.
Okay, CDR, you got a panel 325 coming up.
Gotcha. -230. S2, lock pre-press complete. Roger.
DCS verified. CDR, panel 325, primary glycol to rad valve, go to bypass. Listen, bypass.
Roger.
You bet.
Go over the radar. Roger, go over the radar. Looking good. Tom, 2, how you? We'll go here. -150. -140. S4B fuel vent closed and fuel tank pre-pressurized. Roger, fuel pre-press. S2, fuel pre-press. Roger, S2.
So now we're getting fuel closeouts. We're getting pressurization of tanks, similar to what we see on SpaceX, just
4B pre-press.
very much different.
LMP, bus ties on. Bus ties on. EP, proceed.
-110.
GPS verified, back on the
S2, fuel pre-press complete. Roger. S2.
You know, we're coming up on T-minus 60 seconds.
CDR and
We're
LMP,
getting
panel
close.
6 and 9, pad Tom off.
And my fat gun going off, sure has been a nice smooth countdown, Skip.
Thank you, babe. LMP, VHS, increase it a little bit.
All complete.
LMP, copy. Right here, running out. Okay, and CDR, TDC line. Roger. It's marginal, but we say that's good. That's normal flight.
Minus 35. S1 free press. Roger.
30 seconds. 30.
MC is
-30.
light speed.
Okay, number one top box, that's good. Okay, we were marginal here, but that's alert.
Minus 20.
T-minus 20.
And we're initialized for 72. GRR. Roger, GRR.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, ignition. 2, 1, 0.
So those big hydraulic hold downs. I know I'm blue balls and everybody, but those big hydraulic hold downs are holding down all that thrust, all that power. Because these engines were so big, they had to spin up, so they had to get to power. And the thrust to weight is thrust to weight's how much thrust, the rocket puts off, and how much it weighs wet or full. I believe I'll have to look it up because I didn't have it, but I believe the Apollo missions, the Saturn V's were about 1.12, so they had to spool up, and they actually had to lose some weight from fuel before they could get off the pad. So
Lift off.
Roger, clock.
Start flight, Roger. Thrust is go, all engines, Roger.
look at that. See how slow that damn thing goes off the pad?
Roger, we got a roll program.
Flight 5.
Roger, 1332:00.624.
Say again.
1332:00.624.
1 seat cal.
I like the raw footage. I don't like when they try and remaster it and shit.
Roll complete and efficient program.
Roger, roll, Roger, pitch. Stand by for 1 Bravo.
So this one actually starts
Mark,
spinning.
1 Bravo.
That's the raw program you're talking about. So that's to
Go retro.
Lift off. 1-3.
stabilize it. Flight stabilize that big bastard.
Roger, ZS the same.
Is ZS the same?
Dynamics,
Okay. Roger, how you, Booster? Look up, flight 31
13.
Oh, Houston, you're good at 1 minute.
43, 02. Spacecraft, 13 plus
There's a break in the sound barrier.
plus 00.78.
He gets that little,
Launch estimates were as predicted.
Alright, flight, how you?
oh, that's so sexy.
GMC? That's good, flight. Econ? Looking good.
Well, so how big it is, 747. No, I mean, yeah, I get that it's huge, but also in the rocket world, it was really slow takeoff. It was really slow.
Booster, flight, how you? Where's our flight? Surgeon?
With that thrust to weight, it really did have to spool up, and it had to be at full power or it wouldn't get off the pad. So
And I'll get the other one.
there's your kind of like your thermal.
Stand by for mode 1 Charlie. Stand by for mode 1 Charlie.
DR times ran.
Mark, mode 1 Charlie. Staging status booster.
Go.
Righto. Go. Guidance. Go. Good for staging, Captain. Follow 11, this is Houston. You are go for staging.
So the other thing is they're all manually controlling it. They're calling out go. Your pilots or Armstrong and they're actually flipping switches to make this bad boy go. So
Address 2.
look at that.
Level sensors armed. EBW's armed. Roger. We're going to fly. TFS, Fido. Copy TFS.
So that's that first stage. So there's the
And ignition.
Ignition. Roger. Thrusters go all engines. That's good. Kevin Houston, thrusters go all engines. You're looking good.
Hi, Roger. You're loud and clear, Houston. We got first step.
Roger, we confirm.
there's that inner stage,
Tower's going.
Tower's going.
You actually went really quickly through the next stages, relatively.
Houston, be advised, the visual is go today.
This is Houston, roger out.
Converge, no one converges, guys.
Yeah, they finally gave me a
Look
window.
at those graphics.
That's good, line converge. Steering converge, Captain.
You guys ready?
11 Houston, your guidance is converged. You're looking good.
Okay, Kevin, stay with us. 5-9, flight.
Roger, Kevin. How you boosting? Roger, we're going flight. GNC.
We're going flight.
Surgeon.
Go flight.
Roger, are you?
We're good at 4 minutes, Captain.
11 Houston, you are go at 4 minutes.
Select AGC.
Need to check this cord.
Is that a little south? Is that AGC? No, John, it's hanging right in there. Okay. Then they all on there. They're all in there, babe.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Oxidizer step press commanded. Roger.
We're great. They might go. Flight 5. All projected sources agree. We're go. Got this retro. Go. No cross range, sir. Are they all on the ground?
Roger, we have 18 per second airplane 9.
Very small. Roger. That's
Verify lockstep press. Roger. Lockstep press flight. Roger. Now booster. Roger. Got some time? Roger. Low levels have 8 plus 1, 7.
okay. That's what I
Outboard engine cutoff 9 plus 1, 1.
Thanks, Deez. I was going to go into this more next week with specs, but I appreciate it because I'll highlight a couple right now. So when it got to Mach 1, the altitude was 25,736 feet, and it took 66.3 seconds to get there. So max Q for this was 83 seconds into it. So maximum aerodynamic pressures. And then we get into that second stage burns. I'm just trying to go through everything. .94 G of acceleration. Stage 2 is 1.82 G's of acceleration because you don't have the atmosphere to react and all the atmospheric pressure and gravity. And then when we get up to like stage 4, it is 0.69 G's of acceleration. So it really kind of slows down on the acceleration part. So that's good because that's how much extra weight essentially your body's feeling. So how hard it's pushing you down in the chair. So humans are fragile. It's nice to not have massive accelerations on human bodies, if not possible.
Oh, look okay. At the firm flight, looking good. Econ flight, are you?
Looking good, flight.
I appreciate it, buddy.
11 Houston, you are go at 5 minutes.
Battle gang.
Roger, Yodel. Follow 11. Go.
About 2 feet per second total difference.
How's my DNA?
Great. Go.
Stand by for S4B to
Stand by
COI
to S4B
capability.
to COI capability.
Okay.
Mark.
Mark, S4B to COI capability.
Roger.
Command handover in 1 minute. Fantastic.
You sure sound clear down there, Bruce. Sound like you're sitting in your living room.
Oh, thank you. You all are coming through beautifully, too.
Booster flight, are you? We'll go flight. GN6, go flight.
We'll go flight.
Econ.
That's our go flight.
Yes. Guidance.
Clock is breeze with the ground.
Roger. Go flight. We're go. Okay.
Flight fighter, they all look good. We're go.
S2 is go. Roger.
We're go at 6 minutes. We'll start to get orders.
So are we.
Roger 11, you're go from the ground at 6 minutes.
Flight booster.
Go.
You go. Times 8 plus 1, 7. 9 plus 1, 1. Copy 817 911.
Nope,
Roger.
stop it. There we go.
Yeah, move on.
Roger, good one.
Follow 11, this is
There it is.
Houston, level sense arm at 8 plus 1, 7. Outboard cutoff at 9 plus 1, 1.
S2.
So a couple things to think about before we get too far into this. So that S1C, so that first first stage that was getting us off the ground fairly slowly. It started at 3,305,786 pounds of liquid oxygen. That's a lot of oxygen. And 1.39 million pounds of RP1 or rocket grade kerosene. So the total weight on just the fuel was 4,660,140 pounds. Excuse me, 4,730,675 pounds. In the wrong column. And that's just the first stage. The second stage had nearly 1 million pounds of fuel. The stage IVB, third stage, that had about 250,000 pounds of fuel. And the second burn, it still had about 100,000 pounds of fuel. So total. So we're talking about a lot of liquid that's being burned to get these astronauts into space and into orbit around the moon. Really impressive. It's really impressive that they didn't have more burn off too. Yeah, and I won't go to like translunar injections until next week. Lunar impact. Okay, so we'll kind of leave it at that. Done. That's true. That's true. I mean, we're talking about.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go over it.
We're talking about a skyscraper, a giant building, pulling a half G of acceleration. Like that's a lot of power. You think of it that way.
Your go from the ground at 7 minutes. Level sense arm at 8+17. Outboard cut off at 9+11.
No, that's a great one. It's a good place that it's aggregated. All the ones that I have are much more spread out than that. So that's a good resource.
You look good on it. Okay, select AGC. This is 3, how you looking? AGC is a little south. Alright, this is 3. Where to go? Line ringing. I see that. I don't get a buzz on it. I'll check it. Inboard cut off. CMI shift. Inboard out. Confirming inboard out. Roger. Yeah, fuel step press commanded. Right. Go flight. Go flight. Verify fuel step press. Roger. Go step press flight. Okay, guys. You know how that looks. Great. Go. Gonna give it to me? Flight, we're right on the ground track. Roger. Flight 5, good agreement. All sources, we're go. Roger. This is Redco. Go.
And that's just an indication of what kind of heads-up display they're using. That's
go at 8 minutes.
something that's that critical and that precise. That's the display they're using. There is some CGI. This was on the television broadcast for, I believe it was ABC. So they did add certain things to it.
Go for staging.
11, this is Houston. You are go for staging. Over.
Stand by for mode 4 capability.
Stand by for mode 4 capability.
Mode 4. Mark.
Mark, mode 4 capability.
But nothing until we got up that far.
Staging and ignition.
Start, go. Ignition confirmed, thrusters go.
Ignition confirmed, thrusters go. 11.
Hey, that's, I would assume that's CGI.
Again,
Good night, Digger.
For beach, Cal. Guys, reverse line, go. You look a little high in performance, booster. We'll go all the way. Roger. Lighted on 5 angle file. That's good. Booster flight. We'll go flight.
That could be an accurate flight. That could be an accurate cam, though. Starting to see the Earth swing back around.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. At 10 minutes, you are go. All right, your 11's go.
That's definitely CGI. I can say that with pretty good certainty.
908 TB4. You satisfied with that one? Go with it. 11 plus 42. Okay.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. Predicted cutoff at 11 plus 42. Over. 1142, Reg.
You're only 90 kilometers up, so you're not going to get the curvature you would think.
Say again, Retro. Booster flight, how are you? We're go flight. GNC. We're go flight.
From that view, that was in the descent, so it's probably even lower than that.
We got about 4 feet per second between the two. God, just Retro. Go. Still see that little aeroplane. Roger. Not building much. No, it's a 5 flight. Okay, cut off at 11:41. Go at 11, Captain.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are go at 11. There you go.
Matt, you must be more talented with your mouth than me, because I can't.
Flight, how you? To go. Copy. All sources agree. We're go. Okay, if you stand by for your confirm. Roger that flight. Okay.
Yeah, you're just closer than you think, so you're not going to see as much curvature. Plus the cameras and lenses and.
We are showing 101.4 by 103.6. Roger, shut down, and we copy 101.4 by 103.6.
So that's the orbit. So that's how far they are away.
I got it. We are go. Confirm go.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are confirmed go as well.
So ideally you want, unless you have a specific mission.
On the back of you. Roger, flight, we have the range safe receiver safe. Range safe receiver safe.
Unless you have a specific mission, you want it as close to accurate as possible. So it's called eccentricity. And I think it was 0.002% was how far they were off with eccentricity, which is pretty damn close for essentially manually flying that big AS rocket. Oh shit. Fire Red, how goes it, mighty in chat? Hope y'all are well. I enjoy this company. And this is Rocket for Hayden's backside. Yes, it's for Saturday. We're testing to see if it will fit. Love you too, buddy. Thanks for being a member for 4 months. Damn, it's been a long time.
Roger that. Flight listed. 4B is reconfigured for coast. We're in local horizontal earth right. Okay.
So now they're just coasting.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. The booster has been configured for orbital coast. Both spacecraft are looking good. Over.
So now they're just going to coast. They're going to probably recheck their math one more time, make sure they're on the right track, and start setting up for that figure 8.
Now, booster, Roger. Had a good call on that bad telemeter there. Yeah, that was looking a little bad there. Booster, I'm waiting on system 2 as soon as you have your set by 102.5. That's based on what? That's from the booster. Select Fido. I'll stand by for your radar.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. Vanguard LOS at 1535. AOS Canaries at 1630. Over.
why don't you chat during these streams? Exactly. That's pretty. I want to see that. Oh, shit. So that is, now we're in the air. So there's a bunch of things that are going to take place now. They're going to reevaluate. They're going to look for that opening, make sure the math's correct, make sure their orbital insertion was correct. They actually do a second burn on this one to get ready for that figure eight, and that's essentially what it becomes. Is it becomes a figure eight, and the reason for that was particular design because they wanted a free return trajectory. So if things went to hell, they wanted to be able to get the astronauts back to Earth successfully. So they essentially used the gravity of the Earth to throw it out to the moon, and the moon would pick it up, and it would come around the backside of the moon. And then, if it wasn't able to be successful in landing on the moon, the thought process is it would shoot back towards Earth, and Earth's gravity would bring it back to the surface of the Earth, and we wouldn't have deceased astronauts. So that was always the plan. That's why they did it like that. Artemis is using a similar faction to that for their missions, and yeah. So we're now in the air. We're now flying. Do a couple orbits. Get ready to kick it out and do the next thing. Did I ever end the poll? Because I don't ever do that. Perfect. So, like I said, the next time we'll go through a little bit more of technical specs of the spacecraft, kind of how it works, what it looks like, that kind of deal. So we'll certainly go through those kind of things. We'll get into some of the technicalities of thrust, and I'll bring up thrust to weight so that I'm accurate there. And a bunch of other things like that. The week following that, we'll probably next week we'll get into EDL onto the moon. So actually touching down on the moon and the piloting procedure and process that went on to get there. And maybe we'll start the spacewalk. It was kind of long. It was about 4 hours, so we'll probably have to break it up, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it was really neat to see. So we'll do that, and then we'll head back to splashdown, all that good stuff, and press conferences, so on and so forth. So like I said, this will be another 4 or 5 week program on Tuesday nights. So that'll be the new date and time. But thrust is important. That's how baby rockets are made. But as far as tonight, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for our journey on the Apollo 11 program. Again, I think that America was in a different place. We had a different set of expectations and skills. And we could actually come together for a collective goal. This wasn't just, this wasn't just nerds. This wasn't just Germans with the V2 program. This wasn't just, rocket scientists or mathematicians or anything like that. There's so many people that go into designing, building, and successfully launching a rocket. You need material science, you need fuel sciences, you need all kinds of, they have to generate their own power. There's all kinds of programming, computers, all that kind of stuff. And that's not to mention, flight command control. There's, like we said, building or designing and building the spacesuits, and there are a lot of unique challenges that go with spaceflight that require a diverse crowd of different technicalities. It's not all the big brains and the rocket scientists and the engineers and the mathematicians. It really is a collective effort, and everybody has a part in it. I think that's what makes it such a fun venue to explore. Is because you really need input and impacts from all kinds of different people to make a successful program. So we believe the government more, absolutely. Computers are dumb. They are, especially these ones. So, all this just to beat the USSR once. I think there was more to it than beating the USSR. I think it was a pride thing beyond the Cold War. I think the United States really wanted to do this, and I think that was definitely a motivating and driving factor. But we'll certainly get into that as well. So. All right. Well, thank you for watching the first installment. Please throw up a like, comment if you can after the stream. That'd be awesome. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week to pick it up. This week's gonna be kind of funky-ish. Fuck, I don't know. Probably a show tomorrow, and then we will have news on Thursday. There is a speaker vote that's supposedly imminent tomorrow, but we've been hearing that for about a week now. Apparently, Jim Jordan and Mike McCarthy have made a deal to be co-speakers. How the hell is that going to work? But anyways, they've made a deal, so that's the newest shot at it. So all that will be coming up. And of course, if anything happens, I will come live and let you guys know. But thank you as always. Hope to see you guys soon. Y'all have a good night. Take care.